Hey, everybody. Hey, it's Dan and Angela.
Hi.
And we wanted to welcome you to our new podcast, our new Zoom meeting that's going to be happening every Friday night at 6:30.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about everything. We're going to be talking about the main thing we want to talk about is how us as an individual can be more, do more, and have more. You know, Angela and I, as you know, both came out of cults. You know, we've got our website's called Life After Religion. Our YouTube channel is called Life After Religion. And we felt like we have been in a box for 40 years. Angela's been in two cults and we've come out. We've had the help of a lot of people. We've got our life back on track and we feel like we're blessed. And so we want to share with you guys the tools that we've got from a lot of people, not only from us, but from other people. And we also want to invite you in. We want to invite you into the show. And we're going to have a Zoom on my channel, Life After Religion, that'll be posted about 6 o'clock Friday night. And it'll start at 6:30, a Zoom meeting.
Right.
And it'll also be on Angela's site. What's your site?
Is X Worldwide Truth Seekers. X Worldwide Truth Seekers.
Anything
and
else?
Angela's Inspirations and Angela Clark. I post from all those places.
Yes. So if you look on any of those sites, you'll see a Zoom link. And we want to invite you in because everyone is a piece of the puzzle. Everyone has had to overcome something in this life. And the last thing we want to do is become victims. And what a victim is a person that tells his story, his painful life becomes the story for the rest of his life. Okay. So he can't wait to get into a room to tell you how bad it was. And this actually holds you back. It held me back for a while for my greater good. And I just happened to have some tools. I went to some workshops and I started to discover, what a victim was. I actually had a lady listen to me. And she was a really brilliant lady. And one day she listened to me and she heard my story, my terrible Jehovah's Witness story about my life and how bad it was. And she says, after I was done telling her for about 20 minutes, she just looked up at me and says, "I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm so sorry." Now, this lady was very wealthy, had a beautiful home, had everything that anybody could ever want, traveled where she wanted, went to, different vacation places. And she validated me. She heard me. She says, "I hear you. I know that was painful." But then she said the most powerful thing that she could say. She said, "Do you want to get better? I hear you, but do you want to get better?" And I said, "Well, what does that mean?" Because I wanted her to hear my story. I wanted her to, really join me and really, And so anyway, long story short, I got it. I got it what she said. You can tell the story the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And, I told it a little while longer. And finally, I went to a class where I went into. Remember that class I told you about I went
Inner
into?
Child Journey?
No, it was like Landmark Forum or something. But I went into this class and this guy says, everyone went in there and I guess we were all victims. But we went into this class and I want to say this up front. There's nothing wrong with telling your story. It's just, is it 25 years ago, 30 years ago? And is it just as intense today as it was back then? Like you're still living it, you're still bringing it back to life? Well, I went to this one class and this person told me, they told me to write down my story. And I said, "Write down my story?" And they said, "Yeah, you've got to get it out of you, write it down." So I got this big stack of paper and I started writing and writing and writing and writing. And I thought, I better take a few shortcuts here, And so I shortened it up a little bit and I wrote it. And the next thing you know, the guy walks up and I said, "I'm done with my story." And he goes, "Oh, wonderful, Dan, wonderful. And that's really wonderful." And he looked at it and he tears it up. And I go, "Whoa, whoa." And he hands me another set of paper. And he goes, "That was really good, Dan. That was really good. I want you to write it down again." And I went, "Write it down again? What the hell are you talking about? Write it down again." And the guy looked at me and goes, "Well, how many times do you want to tell your damn story?" And I went, "What?" And he had people walking out of this seminar. They were like, "Kiss my ass. I'm walking out of here. I'm not going to let you abuse me like this. You won't hear my story." And so he said, "Well, get the hell out of here. Go get your money back. Go tell the story the rest of your life." So anyway, that was just a couple of the tools that I had to help me move out of victimization. Because here's the thing, my life, Angela's life, was waiting for us. Who we were. Do you think we were made junk? Do you think we were made crap? Do you think we were here just to sit and wait for the world to end? You know, I waited 40 years for the world to end. I was waiting for the paradise earth. There was nothing good in me. You know, you're good for nothing slave. You're this bad person. You know, when you wish to do right, you're going to do wrong. All this horrible shit was this recording that Watchtower programmed in me, that I was weak, that I was stupid, that I was imperfect.
Yeah, for those of you who are joining us who are not aware that Dan was raised a Jehovah's Witness, I was raised Worldwide Church of God, and I was in another cult after that. And the bottom line is that we learned the wrong way to be in life, and we had to relearn. And one of the ways when you come out of this kind of things is that you end up being a victim a lot of the time, and you have to learn that, hey, everybody else has the same kind of story. And I have come to realize that everybody thinks their story is special, and I'm telling you what, our stories are not special. There's a million other stories,
a lot worse.
Really, honestly, if you really talk to anyone I found, they have some crazy story to tell. So we're supposed to, I know it seems strange, but what brings beauty is the ashes. Well, okay, so things, we lose things get burned down, a divorce happens, we lose our job, we have parents that reject us, whatever it is, it actually makes the beauty that comes forth out of that problem, that difficulty, that pain, that suffering. Beauty comes.
I think like the lotus flower.
Yes.
It says it comes out of mud.
Yes.
Out of the darkest mud puddle comes this beautiful flower, and people go, oh my God, it came out of mud.
But we can stay in the mud. That's the thing. And that's what a lot of people end up doing. They don't want to move on beyond it. So Dan and I were involved in a program just before this one that we started, where they really, really wanted us to talk about the pain and the suffering. And Dan had gotten out of all of that. And then he started going into it again by trying to validate people,
reactivating it.
He literally reactivated the pain body, the suffering, the victim.
Yeah, I did all the forgiveness work. It was like a 12-step or recovery, you know.
Yeah, I did all the work.
I just want to say this one thing, Angela.
Yeah.
You know, when I was in the recovery, that's where I heard all the stories. I thought, I don't have a story. I was in a group one time of 300 people, and it was called the Inner Child Journey. And I went in this inner child journey, and they closed the doors, and they put tape over the windows.
Keep your eyes looking up, Dan.
You know, tape over the windows and all this stuff. And anyway, long story short, we got in these small groups, and we started all telling our stories. So, you know, I couldn't wait. I had the best story in there. You know, I had the witness story. Wait till you hear how bad I was treated. Oh my God. When I got in there, there were 300 people wailing and crying from all kinds of religions, priests that abused children, fathers who abused daughters. I mean, it went on, and it just was all this crying. And, you know, I looked around and I thought, I don't have a story. Stop it. Stop it. Stop telling your damn story. Stop, can't wait to tell your story. So I realized I did not know, like Angela said, we don't even know what a victim is. You got to know, look it up, victim, look up victim. And then you can identify with characteristics that say, God, I'm doing that. And then how do I stop it?
Well, here's one way to know that you're living in a victim kind of a way of being in life, is that you just feel this negative feeling in your body. Whenever you feel that, you don't feel joy, you don't feel happy, you don't feel relaxed, you don't feel content. You're probably living in some sort of a story, whatever it is, like just even if it happened yesterday, maybe it happened this morning, whatever it is, it's not right. You kind of become a victim about it. Like, that just should not be. And that's just my line all the time. In my mind, it's like, that shouldn't be, that should not have happened. That should not have happened. This should not have happened. If you're living that way, then you're living in like something that's keeping you in a negative attractor field, put it that way, magnetic energy, electrical energy that we're made out of, that's negative. And Dan always talks about David R. Hawkins, really great doctor, who talked about the kinesiologies. Is that the scale?
Yeah.
Scale of consciousness is what it's called. And so at 200 is the line of integrity. Well, everything above the line of integrity is joy, peace, patience, kindness, all the fruits of the spirit, really. You get into even higher states of joy that they might even call bliss. But down below that line of integrity with yourself and with what's happening is all the other emotions that are actually hard on your body and cause sickness. So if we're staying above the 200 line of integrity most of the time, our body will be strong. So when you don't feel good inside and you have bad emotions and anger, resentment, sad, apathy, I don't care, any of those emotions, then actually you're in the victim mode. I'm just going to tell you flat out.
And I got to tell you, when we operate in lower attractor fields, like Angela says, below 200, or guilt and shame and worry and fear, what it does is it makes life hard. And this is proved. This is proved scientifically. This isn't just us talking, and I've experienced it. When I moved above this 200, I had courage, I had power, I had vision, I had my imagination working, and all these things, and life changed dramatically. And that's what we want to bring to this channel, to this Zoom meeting, this webinar that we're going to start to have, Heart to Heart with Dan and Angela, Friday night, 6:30. We're going to bring our tools in, and we hope that you bring your tools in, because honestly, no one is an island. I had lots of help. Angela had lots of help. Angela was a lot of help for me. I was a lot of help for Angela, but we had all kinds of help and books. And so our show is going to talk about these books. It's going to talk about the things that the gold that we gleaned from different books. The very thing, like Angela's really powerful on voice. A woman's got to have a voice,
or letting go of resentment.
Yeah, she'll be abused if a woman don't have a voice. Actually, a woman with a voice to say, "Oh, that hurt me. Ouch! Don't do that," actually helps a man become more refined and more respectful. And that's helped me. And so Angela has tons of these tools because she has come out of abuse. She has come out of this person that was small and insignificant. She said to me one time, she was so low, the ants, she thought she was like an ant. And if they just stepped on her, she wouldn't exist anymore. Think how low that is. Yeah. But she's not that anymore. She's an author. She writes books. She helped me write 4 books. Yeah, you know,
I've done a CD album.
She's got a CD
with 18 songs on it.
18 songs, beautiful songs. And she's tapped in to talents that she never knew she had. I mean, she's great with music. She can hear music. She can hear it at a level that most people can't hear it.
And to think that nothing has gone in my wrong in my life, that I've just been blessed and I've been able to just do these things because my life's been so wonderful and peaceful, and I married this wonderful man, and I've just been so, no. I've got just the crazy losses like anybody else has, beyond, huh, Dan?
That's right.
Not beyond, because that's not fair, because everybody has the beyond, right? We all do.
Everyone has the worst story.
The worst story. It's true. But I've got the worst story. Everybody's got the worst story. But we at some point, we got to say, you know what? Those emotions don't serve me anymore. These ways of living and thinking that should not be, is got to go. That's in my life. I'm realizing, oh my gosh, when things go wrong, I tend to think that should not be. I'm just here to tell you it's exactly as it should be. That's what's refining us, is it's how we react to it and how we feel about it. Or do we just slip back into the victim mode all the time? I'm not saying that I don't. I still do.
We all do.
But I'm trying to say, no. Everything is perfect just as it is. Like, for example, last night we had a show all planned, 6:30. Everything goes wrong at the last 45 minutes before we started. Everything that could possibly go wrong. Then we start the show and it will not. Everything is just not working. And it was an hour of trying, an hour, and we spent all day getting that ready, and it was a loss. So here we are today doing something completely different, trying to at least put something out. But I caught myself into that should not be, kind of thing. No. Like Dan said, we got to just kind of alchemize it. We got to allow God to turn it into something good and useful, and try to make the best out of it and learn character.
It's like turning lemons into lemonade.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. So, we just have to learn. So anyway, one of the things we wanted to talk about last night was just in this religion that Dan grew up in, and the one I grew up in worldwide. And maybe you can also, realize that happened maybe in your church too, was the treatment of children. And I'm going to add women, even though that's not in our little banner that we put out, and pets, because my parents had a book that was called, I think, The Plain Truth About Child Rearing. I think it was parenting, maybe. Child rearing, right, Dan? Was that the name of it? And just talking about how to treat your children. And you guys, it's not normal. It's not normal at all. It talked about the bonding. So we're going to talk about that on Friday night, most likely. And then in Stephen Lett in the world, in the not worldwide, in Jehovah's Witnesses, literally said that children are an enemy of God, which we're taking a great pains to talk about that, because that is just beyond wrong. And we're going to talk about everything that is in the Bible even said about it. Because that's, hey, if they're going to take out of they're going to say everything that they preach is from the Bible and it's God, and God is divinely giving them information to preach. Well, it should line up with the scriptures. They believe this, and so it should, and it doesn't. So we're going to talk about how it doesn't in a mighty way. Oh man, I can't wait to talk about it. And also the treatment of children, because I was taught, and as the worldwide and Jehovah's Witnesses were taught, that children are to be pretty much seen and not heard. That they should absolutely be silent in services, or otherwise they're treated really badly. They're spanked for everything known to mankind, for every kind of reason that they can possibly come up with. I think it's really the goal of churches, unbeknownst to them, but in the behind the scenes, is control. They want control, and under control comes obedience. And so they're doing everything they can to bring you down into a lowest state of feeling about yourself. If you tell a child that they're good for nothing, then they're going to turn out to be, most likely, unless they figure out a way, they're going to at least start out to be good for nothing. It's no duh. Everybody knows this. And so if they taught you as adults, and the children are hearing this in services, that you're good for nothing slaves, and what you're doing, you ought to have been doing. And for any of you that don't know this, this is exactly what the Jehovah's Witnesses teach their members. I witnessed it. I went into one of Dan's services and witnessed. That was the answer to every question that they had that particular day. I was stunned and shocked. But this is how they want us to be. Very low and low self-esteem, obedient, humble, nothingness. And out of that does not come God creativity. It just doesn't. So we've got to realize this. We've got to start using our mind, which is what God helped me to begin to do. Start thinking things out. Think about it. Does this line up with what God has to say? Does it line up with my heart? Because one of the other problems is that they don't want you to go into your heart. They want you to listen, read.
The programs.
Plain Truth magazine. That was our magazine. We had to read, and you guys had your Awake, and what was the other one, Dan? Watchtower. And you soak that in, and nothing really, they don't want you to study anything without it. In our church, we're not to study the Bible alone. We have to do it with the magazines and things that they provide, because we're not smart enough or filled with the Spirit enough to be able to discern it. Why? Because God made us stupid? Well, they kind of make you think that, because they know the way and you don't. They have the Holy Spirit and they know how to discern it, and you don't. As if to say you don't have the Holy Spirit, even though you're baptized. It's nutty. So again, we're not using our mind. We're not thinking it through. We have to begin to think it through, and we have to begin to realize God doesn't want us to live in poverty, sickness, dis-ease, because that's caused by mind, which is negative. If it's negative all the time, and worry and victim, then we're living in a God space. It's not God's space. It's actually the other space, and we don't want to be in that space. But the church teaches us to live in that space by the way they teach. Again, use your mind. Think about it. And are you living a fulfilled life with plenty of fruit? God made us to have fruit, to live with fruit in our lives and enjoy our life. He came that we might have life and have it more abundantly. So how do we have it abundantly if we feel like crap about ourselves all the time? And we're made to feel that way wherever we go.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and we're starting to see a pattern too. Me and Angela have traveled quite a bit, and we've been in a lot of different churches. We've been in a lot of churches, and if you found a good church and you're happy in church, then God bless you. You know, if you found a place that serves you and serves your heart, and you feel you can grow in there, then that would be the place to be.
Yeah.
But what me and Angela have discovered in our travels is the churches are doubling down on the programming. You know, you better listen to me. I mean, I watched Stephen Lett say, you better listen to us like your life depends on it, because it does. Stephen Lett,
that's a Jehovah's Witness governing
body
leader.
They're the leaders. They're the ones who say they're the mediator between, you know, they hear Jehovah's voice and they put it in a Watchtower and Awake. But he said, you better listen to us like your life depends on it, because it does. So me, the translation for that is, you better listen to me or you're dead. And that's what it means. You better listen to us like your life depends on it, because it does. And so that's like a threat. But this isn't the only place. We got to tell you, we've been in a lot of churches, and oh my God, no free thinking at all. If they say the word spirit, run. If they say the word, mystic, run. If they say the word, anything other than.
And don't read any literature that has any of that stuff in
Yeah,
it.
we have it here in this church.
You have everything you need.
I had a guy say in one of his churches, he goes, we have, I forget how many translations of the Bible, just say 50. We've got 50 translations of the Bible. We've got a this here, we've got a that here, we've got an art studio, we've got a this, we've got a that, we've got childcare, we've got a hospital. Stay here and listen to us.
That's all you need is here.
Yeah. And so it's getting even worse. I'm going to tell you guys,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we've been in churches where they are screaming. I mean, literally screaming, it's in the word. It's all here, by God, throwing their Bibles down and, telling people, what are you doing? Don't let Satan snatch you away. Which is the very thing me and Angela were told.
And it's not just in Jehovah's Witnesses.
That's what I'm saying. We're talking about the churches we visited.
Okay. Yeah.
It's everywhere. I'm not talking about witnesses now. I'm talking Christian churches. I'm talking all kinds of them. And I'm not attacking any church. I'm just saying they are cracking down. We were in her daughter's church, and there was a strong message. Stay in our ideal. Stay in our program that we have for you. We have a programmed outline for you. This is our program for your happiness. This was the religions that we've been going around. They're doubling down. They're getting stronger. We've been in a lot of churches, and it's really frightening, because they're not allowing free thinking, free feeling. They're not allowing you to attach with their heart. They're telling you what to believe and how to believe it, who to hang out with and who not to hang out with.
Yes. And let's just talk about animals for a minute, since that was part of our banner. But you know what? One of the things that makes man feel good when they're going through a really hard time, let's say you've been kicked out of a religion, which most likely, if you're watching this, you probably maybe have, you feel really alone and desperate and depressed. And you know what? An animal is one of the most precious things to have when you're going through something like that. I'm very sure of it, that my dog saved my life. And I had something to come home to, and it was wagging its tail, waiting for me, and just loved me, even when I was going through my trauma and eyes bugging out of my head and, all of that depression and whatnot. It would just jump up on the chair and sit with me into the night, sleep in my bed with me. And I could take walks with this dog out of purpose, because I got to take care of my dog, right? So, and what a gift. And yet Stephen Lett and those guys of the Jehovah's Witnesses try to tell you that you don't want to
affection,
not have any affection with your pet whatsoever, that's wrong. Why did they say that was wrong, Dan?
They said it's unnatural, and like Angela said, what do they do in retirement homes? They bring dogs in. Dogs' tails wag. According to Dr. David R. Hawkins, they said a tail wagging is over 500.
In the consciousness
Religions
scale
hang out below 200 in consciousness. This is a study you'll have to look up. But the fact of the matter is a dog's tail wagging represents an unconditional love that it had for you, just like a cat's purr. If a cat feels loved and you start stroking it, it starts purring, it gets louder and louder and louder, and it falls asleep. You can't tell me that there's not love in there. You cannot tell me that. And so these religions are a lot of these religions are, no connection with your animals at all.
Your heart.
Don't look at an animal and say, oh, I love you, baby. Stop talking to those animals. They don't understand you. This is what the Watchtower is telling people, to disconnect from your animals. Disconnect now.
From your heart is really what
from
it's
now
about.
From your babies. You imagine a baby's coming out of a woman, and everybody's around the room. The husband's there. Everybody's watching. This thing's being birthed. It pops out. What's the first thing that happens? You cry. This innocent little baby. You go, oh my God, this baby's born. Oh, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Well, Stephen Lett said that baby's evil. That baby is an enemy of Jehovah until it bows the knee to Watchtower. until it bows the knee to Jehovah. They say they use Jehovah, but they mean governing body watchtower.
Would that mean they have to get baptized, or just they simply have to be in alignment, that a proven alignment with the church?
The baby's guilty till proven innocent. And you guys have probably heard it on the internet. If you go on the internet anywhere and look under this governing body, Stephen Lett, I mean, he really made an ass of himself. He made a fool of himself, a mockery. I mean, to say, I know you feel babies should be cuddled and babies are cute. He said, but
you want to bond with them.
You want to bond. You want to, go, ooh, 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 you want to do all this love stuff. And he goes, I'm going to tell you more accurately what a baby is. A baby is an enemy of God. That is sick.
And you know what else it does, Dan? It sets in the mind the mother why they should not. Well, they don't bond.
You can't bond with an enemy.
And if you don't bond, then when they tell you to kick that child out of the home, we literally have a friend who's had a brother who was around 8 years old, that was kicked out because he told on somebody to the elder, and he had been told to keep it hush hush. Something very bad. It was sexual. And so he told because he was very concerned for his sister. And so he went ahead and told anyway. And because of that, they told him to kick his son out of the house. And at age 8, he was out on his own. And so you can imagine the kind of life that he led out on the streets. And he came home one night and he knocked on the door. Please, it's cold. Mom, let me in. I'm hungry. I'm cold. No, you're an enemy of Jehovah. Slam. Okay, how does that even happen? I mean, that alone is unnatural. That is unnatural.
Yeah, and they send their kids to rescue missions. That's not normal.
No, it's not normal. And so, the fact of the matter is that they're teaching non-bonding with animals and with your children, so that when they tell you to do something, you jump and you do it, and you do not bond with them. It makes it easier to obey when they tell you kick your child out. They're a problem here. They're not obedient. I mean, that's severe.
Yeah, and I want to interject something here too. Guys, this isn't only the Jehovah's Witnesses. Everyone leaves the Jehovah's Witnesses and they say, oh, they said this and they said that. But even in the worldwide, they had a book called Free Range Children. What does free range sound like? I know when I go get a thing of eggs at the department store, they say these are free range eggs, free range chickens. They weren't in cages. And they say, so in the worldwide, they had a book called, and how they talk to each other is they say, you don't have one of those free range kids, do you? Do them whatever the hell they want. You don't have a free range baby.
Yeah.
And they talked about the babies as they're growing, when they're going from, a baby into 1 and 2, they go, oh, those babies are getting more active.
Yes.
And they're getting to think they can do whatever they want. And they've got to be inculcated.
Yes.
They've got to be spanked. They've got to be disciplined.
Yep.
They've got to let the rod remove the thoughts of ever leaving the church far from their heart. Never consider it.
Yep.
And so that's where our beatings came from. That's why we were beat so much in the Jehovah's Witnesses. But like I said, the worldwide, they would say, don't let that girl or boy become some free range boy where they're thinking for themselves.
My mother didn't ever say those kind of words. I didn't hear my dad say it, but it was in the mind, because when I had my first child, and I was 21 when I had my first child, and I remember right away she was in on me about that. You need to watch out. He's probably a strong-willed child, and she gave me books and whatnot and discussion about how to deal with my strong-willed child.
Ooh.
And I
break them, right?
Yeah,
break that will.
And yes.
Yeah, we're supposed to be free, right? Free to worship God as we will, but no, you got to break them. You got to make them into this church ideal,
Yeah. And I mean, there's some stock in it. Okay. I'm not saying it's all completely wrong. I mean, I had my daughter who, so I got away from that, my mother's teachings. And when my daughter was acting out, she wouldn't eat. And she just, no, I won't. And so we're like, okay, then you're not going to get out of that chair until you eat. And she wouldn't. So she got spanked on the leg, and this went on all night long. She won't cooperate. And we're like, and my husband says, Angela, we've got to win this particular thing going on here with her. And so in the morning, we gave her a pillow. She slept in her it was like a big table on her high chair. In the morning, early, My husband took her out and she just hugged on him, and she was a different child after that. She wasn't so strong-willed, and she was strong-willed, but it was different after that. She knew who was boss in the family, and that was really a beautiful thing. She was not in the wrong way of being controlled, but she was over the top trying to be the boss in the family, and we had to turn that around. So that was a good way of using the breaking the
Yeah,
will.
discipline,
Right.
proper discipline.
And who's the boss in this family?
Yeah.
And you're not just going to do whatever you want, whenever
Right.
you want. So that was that really made things better for us.
Yep.
So there's a right use. I'm not trying to say just every kid should do whatever they want to, free range. We're not saying that, but the way that they teach it is that we don't have a loving bond, and we don't have this cooperation and
And
love
it's
in the
more, and it's more
family.
about the religion, honestly. Even to this day, there's rejection from her family, from my family. Horrible. I mean, you literally are abandoned emotionally
Yeah.
because they never really rebond with you again. It's like
Yeah.
until you succumb to their will to be in their religious ideal, then we're not going to accept you. So they do little things like withhold, play little games. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And it's horrible because you want the love, you want the connection with people, but it's not there. It's not there. The idea is until they return back to our religiosity, to our ideal, which Jehovah's Witnesses was ours, worldwide was
Worldwide Church
hers.
of God.
And then the one after that was even worse.
Yeah, my mom's
Or-
church now is United Church of God that she's going to pretty regularly, which is practically identical to the Worldwide Church of God for all intents and
Yeah.
purposes.
And then Angela had another cult that she got into, and it was the same thing that her husband, he wanted absolute, worship, loyalty. You if you're not 100% loyal, you're out of here, and I'll turn your damn kids and everything against you. And he did. He turned all the kids. He spent a lot of time when he realized Angela was catching on. Angela was realizing this is a cult. This isn't of God. I want to have this checked out. I want to meet with some people. I want to talk about this thing. He was furious. How dare you, woman? How dare you question me? How dare you do this? He didn't really verbalize it, but underneath, he was furious. And Angela knew he would be. Angela's like, I probably won't talk to my kids again.
Yeah, I did actually know that somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe that was why I didn't get out sooner, because I realized, but they were kind of bringing me down in this nice, gentle, subtle, slow process. You know how it works, guys. Any abuse is always subtle, and it takes a long time to have its effect. But in the end, the person's pretty well destroyed. And then, you can do anything with them you want. They'll obey you, right? But instead, God helped me because I cried out to God, and He's a good God. And I got myself back together. Yay.
So we're just sharing, guys. This is what our show is going to be about. Every Friday night, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I think it's 2 hours later. It'll be 8:30 Eastern. It'll be Pacific. It'll be 5:30 Pacific. But join us because we're going to share tools. And one of our main themes, I think I want to talk about, and one of the things I want to say is one thing I realize that I want you to remember forever. You are not the program. See, when we were brought up, we were programs, right? I was told this is what the Bible says. This is what Jehovah is. This is what this is. This is what my parents program me, my teachers program me, everybody program me. But what I realized, and when you know this, your life will change. When you truly know this, when you know that you are not the program, but something much greater. See, we're the computer, we're the receiver. See, we can receive information. We can be a Jehovah's Witness today and be a Mormon tomorrow. We can be a Jehovah's Witness today and be a Buddhist tomorrow. There's millions of programs and there's millions of ideals on how we can show up in life. And the beautiful thing is we are designed. We've been given gifts. The Bible said we've been given talents. And it says we're to use them, right? You remember that in this thing in the Bible, Jesus said he gave this one so much and this one a talent and this one a talent. And then he came back and said, what'd you do with yours? I buried it. Oh, you fool. Why'd you bury it? Another guy said, I invested it. Well, the question is, we want to get to what we want to help people, what we want to drive people to is, what is your talent? What are your gifts? What needs to come up? I had a spiritual teacher. He says, oh, Dan, most of you's on the shelf. I said, what do you mean on the shelf? He says, oh, you just haven't called it in. You haven't aligned with it. You haven't connected with it. And sure enough, he was right, because, me and Angela, we started a business. Angela bought me an art set. These are all long stories, but she bought me an art set. I didn't realize I could paint. I didn't realize I could write. We've written books. We've done a lot of interesting things. And there's a lot more to come, because we're made in God's image and likeness. We're not junk. We're powerful beings. These things and greater you will do.
Well, it's not new stuff that people don't know what their purpose is. And they feel badly about it. And when you get older, you really start feeling bad about it, because you feel like, oh my gosh, I might have missed it. And who wants that? And whose responsibility is it to try to, figure it out? It's ours, right? It's not anyone else's. And so we don't take the time, though. The world we just let the world drag us around, and we don't take a control. We don't take authority in our own lives and realize that we are responsible for the results of our life, each and every one of us. It's not the church. It's not obeying a set of rules and I'm in the right church. Nope, that's not it either. But we have to take that time. And it does say in the scriptures, be still and know that I am God. And so we're to be still and know who's God and what's going on by being still. And no one does that hardly, because the life, it drags you by the whatever, and you're taken everywhere you don't want to go. But we have to say no and stop it and allow our lives to unfold the way that God meant by allowing. And the allowing just takes time to be in the quiet with God. And we just need to take more time. I don't care where you do it. Do it along the river if you must. Do it on walks in the forest. I don't know. Just sit in your chair and just be and watch what's going on out in the beautiful nature that you can see outside your window. I don't know. But that's where you can hear God. If you don't want to meditate, just do that. You'll hear him there too. God, you'll hear he, she, whatever you want to call God. I don't care. But you can do that, and your purpose begins to come to you. Ideas come to you. And when you start following those ideas, your life gets really beautiful. And it grows from there, because we are being guided if we just open to it. So anyway.
Yeah, we have a lot of stories to share. And so not only do we have stories, but you have stories. And I hope you join us. I hope you listen in.
Yeah.
If you just want to listen and hear some stories about transformation, we do believe in validating people too. So if you have a story that needs to be heard, we're here to listen.
However, we really want to focus on what you did to get yourself in a more healthier place,
or to help you get there.
Right. We really don't want to have this be a place where people continue to be a victim. Quick, short, concise, to the point, what all happened in a short package, and then, okay, let's work on that. Or how did you get out? What were the tools that you got from it? How can you help others on this show? We don't want to be about telling the victim's story
And
out
angry.
full out, because that just drags us down. That's what happened on the last show we were on for a year, was we just listened to too many downer stories and got caught up in, oh yeah, that me too kind of thinking. It doesn't work.
And here we have stories of powerful transformation.
Yeah.
We have stories of powerful transformation, and how we've discovered some purpose, and we've discovered a life worth living. And so we want to share those, because those stories are testimonies of transformation. And so we want to share them, and we want to hear more of them.
Yeah.
Angela even wants to do a book on miracles. She wants to just collect all the miracles that people have had, and she has. And lately we've been doing a gratitude journal. And I mean, we cannot fill it up. It just fills up every day. It's like a new thing.
Yeah, the more you write down, the more it comes. It's because you're kind of looking for the goodness. You're looking for the miracles. You're looking for the surprises, the little giftings.
Yes.
And the more you focus on it, okay, we got another one to write down, then the more it comes.
And the more excited you get.
Yes.
And the more you go, oh my God.
Oh, there's another one.
And it brings it. It just keeps bringing it. So
again, that positive energy, right? That consciousness scale, trying to live in a gratefulness, which is one of the fruits of the spirit. And gratefulness makes more goodness, more things to be grateful for. It's weird. but it works. This
Yes,
is
it
God's
does.
laws.
And we're seeing it. And we've heard many times, have a gratitude journal. We're like, why?
Yeah.
And they're like, just keep track of the little things. But what we didn't realize was as you start writing them, you go, oh, hey, we got a blessing. Wow. Oh my God, somebody paid for us lunch twice. Oh my God. Yeah, and deals and
Yeah, good
things.
deals, save
It
money
goes on and
I know,
on.
it's so
But
fun.
little did we know, by starting to write everything down, everything started to
Magnetize for
everything started to
something.
magnetize and was drawn to us. We started getting more, and so Angela's almost permanently automatic writing now.
To him who has will be added unto them, and he who has not,
Yeah.
it's
To those that
most-
have more, that'll be given, and basically what that means is more consciousness, more belief, more certainty, more faith, more will be given. And so that was a definite affirmation for, as we started to journal, we started to see more coming, and we started writing more, and we're writing more every day.
Yeah.
And we're expecting a miracle.
Yeah.
Whereas before we were like, yeah, I guess we'll write it down. So those who have, more will be given. So we want more faith. We want more vision. We want more imagination. We want our minds open to our greater good. And the greater good is there, isn't it, Angela?
Yes.
The greater good is there, and it's waiting. But like Angela said, if we want to stay where we're at, if all we want to do is sit around and drink, tell our story, be sad, it won't change. The universe won't do anything. It's kind of like God meets you where you're at, right? If you want to be down here and just find a bunch of buddies to get together with and say, oh, life sucks here, let me get you a beer. Shit, it's horrible out there. This is really bad. This is really bad. I'm so sad. This is really sad. And you know what I mean? It'll stay there.
Yeah.
There's nothing that'll change it.
And that scripture also says, then he who has not, even what he has will be taken from him. So what that means is below that consciousness scale of 200, where you're living in dishonesty and hatred and resentment and anger and all that negative magnetic energy and electricity in your body, physically, literally, then it just attracts like a magnet more of that same that you don't want to you. And I experienced it so big time. I remember just, the more I was down on myself, and then more bad stuff and more bad stuff. It was like, well, it just couldn't be bad enough. And all of a sudden I realized one day, oh my gosh, I am drawing this to myself. I'm doing this by my emotions, by my feelings, by my resentment. I've got to get out of this way of being and thinking. I don't know, it's kind of like fake it till you make it in a way. I've got to choose to be in an attitude of gratitude, an attitude of looking for the good in life, instead of living down here where I expect more crap to happen because things kept coming and coming. I'd spill things, lock my keys in the car, get a flat tire, lock myself out of the house, whatever. It just kept coming and coming. Like, oh my gosh, because of my choosing the attitude I did, I drew more of the same. That's what that scripture means. Even what you have will be taken from you. And in the end, I lost a lot. So
right.
It's important that we don't live in that world. It really is.
Well, that's very good. All right, guys. Well, we want to thank you for tuning in.
Yes.
We did a Facebook Live, and we also did a Zoom. But please remember the times: 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, 6:30 p.m.
Screen, Mountain Standard Time.
7:30 Central Time.
Move over Friday. See, Friday 6:30 podcast.
Yep, and then 7:30 Central Time, and then 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And guys, don't miss out. This is man, I'll tell you what. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you're hitting a glass ceiling and you can't break through, if you feel like everything's blocking you, there are tools.
Yes,
and we're desirous of sharing them. We're no longer, we didn't feel we had the proper balance with some of the shows we did. We've had a radio show for a couple of years, two different.
I think it's only been a year, Dan. It feels
well,
like
we've had Exo too.
Oh, right.
So we've had a couple of years of radio shows.
That was kind of fun.
Yeah. And so we want to have a proper balance. We want to not only say, well, this happened to us, but like Angela said, here's what's to come.
Right. Like we shared today, some things that happened to us because of our negativity. But when we move and you shift, really it's obedience to the things of God and spirit and how God wants us to be. And then it moves into a completely different realm of being in this world.
Yes.
And that's what God would have to happen to us.
Yes.
He wants good for us.
Yes.
He wants us to be abundant.
He made good. He had an idea.
Yep.
I say he, it, whatever.
Yep. Abundantly loved.
Made us with in that image, in the image of these and greater things will do. So anyway, guys, we want to say goodbye.
Bless you.
Join us Friday. Don't miss out.
Yes.
Bring your stories or just bring yourself, listen in, and let's help each other grow into that space that we know we belong. We want to be more. We want to do more. We want to have more. We want to serve. We want to be all that we can be. We're not here for just nothing.
No.
We're not here to just eat and sleep and go to the bathroom. We're here to do some wonderful, amazing things.
To serve one another. And it's fun to serve, you guys. That's the best thing about getting out of a bad situation or bad religion, is when you find out that what feels good is serving somehow. Even if it's just to take some flowers to the next door neighbor, or pick up her groceries, or rake her yard, or I don't know, something, anything, just to make yourself feel like, oh, I'm useful. I feel good about being in this world, and I'm a servant of the Most High God, and it feels really good.
It does.
So if you feel down right now and you want to go kill yourself or some crazy thing like that, choose right now. Who can I go serve?
Suicidal.
Who can I call somebody and just say, I love you? Who can I just go and help? Think of it. Think of it. Think of it right now. Think of it. And go do it right now. What can you do? Go to the hospital, sit and wait for the next emergency to come in the door, and then pray for them. I don't know. You come up with it. But there are things that you can do. Yeah. Take some
cookies. Go rake somebody's lawn,
Yeah, you can come up with it, and you will feel better. You will feel great. And do that every day and see what happens to you. I mean, that's going to be positivity that makes you feel good about you, because you feel like your life has worthwhileness to it. No, it's not the right lingo. And you feel like, okay, all right, I
did something wonderful today.
I did. And it makes you want to do more and more and more. It just
hold the door for somebody. Smile at somebody.
Yes.
They say the person that needs a smile the most is the one who don't have one to give.
Yeah.
So just smiling can change somebody's life.
Yes.
It saved people's life. They said, I was headed to do something really bad, and somebody smiled and says, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah.
And it just changed them.
I had somebody who was going to go out the door and commit suicide one time, somebody very dear to me. And I was told that she was having a hard time. So I called, and she didn't answer the phone. And it ended up that she was just heading out the door, had written her note goodbye, was going to go out the door, sit in the car and fumigate herself and be done with it. And then that phone call. So a phone call makes all the difference in the world. If you think to do it and it comes in your mind to call somebody, ever do it. Do it now before you forget. Could save their life. And it did on this case. She felt good, and she didn't kill herself. So yeah.
All right, guys. So that's it. And we hope you have a great rest of the weekend. It's Saturday morning. And we wanted to just let you know we're here, and we're looking forward to being with you. We're looking forward to you showing up, and we know you guys have a lot to share, and we have a lot more to share. I'm telling you, we have some powerful tools. We've been in spirituality and different things. We know spirituality from many different traditions, and we just want to share them all with you. It's
and
not
and you too, and call in Friday night and tell us your secrets.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
There's plenty, and we want to hear what you have to say.
That's right.
And we have things to share.
Okay, guys. Well, that's it for this little podcast, this little Zoom, Facebook Live, and we'll look forward to seeing you on Friday night.
Yeah, and by the way, we apologize for what happened last night. We were going to interview someone, like we said, it went wrong, but this is the makeup for it. That's why it was makeup Zoom meeting today. Okay, that's what happened there. All right, thank you. We'll see you Friday night, 6:30 Mountain Standard Time.
See you then. Thank you.
Bye, guys.